Welcome to the tutorial Update on creating a user function block UF with call in the main program. The user function block is a latching circuit with integrated fault display. The following technical requirements must be met. An easyE4 basic device with firmware version 2.0 or higher and hardware version 08 or higher. The easySoft programming software version 8.0 or higher. A license is required for the easySoft programming software. Software, firmware and updates can be downloaded at www.eaton.com/software. Some notes. easySoft 8 offers the option of creating 128 individual user function blocks and to use them again and again in projects. They are called up in the main program in the same way as manufacturer blocks. Since easySoft version 8, several projects with user function blocks can be opened at the same time. The user function block has its own data area. For example, the Q01 of the main program is a different output than the Q01 of a user function block. This also applies to the command management of the user function block and the main program. Please note that the permitted total number of retentive marker bytes from the sum of the user function blocks and the main program must not be exceeded. From firmware version 2.0 of the easyE4, 512 bytes are available. The user function block can be locked with a password via know-how protection, even during simulation. An easyE4 UC12RC1 with firmware version 2.02 forms the basic device. Function block diagram (FBD) is selected here as the programming method for the main program. A timing relay is created in the main program as an stable flip-flop with 1 Hz for the status display of the user function block yet to be generated. If the timing relay is called in the user function block, this function block would take up memory each time the user function block is called. Select Create User Function Block in the toolbar. A block name must be assigned in the window that appears. The firmware version from which the user function block can be used is also specified. Subsequent correction of the firmware version is not possible. The programming method for the user function block is defined in the next step. User function blocks can be programmed in function block diagram (FBD), ladder diagram (LD), or structured text (ST). The function block diagram (FBD) programming method is used here. Note: the programming method for the user function block is independent of the programming method of the main program. If the interfaces, inputs and outputs of the user function block are already known, these can now be defined. The maximum number of digital and analog operands for the interfaces is shown in the graphic. The alternative method is shown here, where the interfaces are determined automatically later. The two networks for the latching function and for the status message are programmed. The respective operands are provided with commands which, as previously mentioned, are independent of the operands and commands of the main program. Once the two networks have been completed, the configure user function block call is made. As previously mentioned, it is no longer possible to change the from firmware version setting in this status of the parameterization of the user function block. By selecting Read from Program, the interfaces of the block are automatically entered. In the command field of the function block, the user receives information on the use of the user function block through a detailed description for the operands. These commands are also available to the user without knowledge of any passwords that may have been set. The entries are confirmed with OK. Finally, the user function block becomes available in the main program via the toolbar using Save User Function Block. At the bottom left in the user function block project folder with the assigned name. It is saved together with the project. If the user function block should also be automatically available for other projects, it must be transferred to the archive folder. User function blocks can also be exported and imported. In the main program, the user function block created for motor 1 is called up in network 2 as an example and assigned with the corresponding inputs and outputs. In network 3, the user function block for motor 2 is automatically assigned the next free instance number. The commands previously written during the creation of the user function block are displayed in the lower area of the easySoft. Finally, a plausibility check is carried out to identify any programming errors. In the simulation, the correct operation of the user function blocks for motor 1 and motor 2 can be observed even without existing hardware. Motor 1 is started via digital input 4. Output Q01 and Q02 are set. If digital input 2 reports a motor fault, Q01 drops out and Q02 flashes. Once the motor fault has been cleared, Q02 stops flashing. The same behavior can also be observed with motor 2 at outputs Q03 and Q04. If the start is made with the digital input 7 and the motor fault is provoked with digital input 5. Thank you for your attention.